Al-Ghazali versus Descartes. Two men, one question, two radically different answers. What if everything you know is a lie? What if your senses deceive you, your logic fails you, and even mathematics, the most certain thing you can think of, is just an illusion? Two brilliant minds, separated by 500 years, asked this terrifying question. Both plunged into the darkest depths of doubt. Both emerged with answers. But here's the twist. Their answers couldn't be more different. One found certainty in reason. The other found it beyond reason. Today we're diving into the philosophical clash between Al-Ghazali and René Descartes, two giants who walked the same path but ended up in completely opposite places. So stick around, because by the end of this video you might question everything you thought you knew about doubt, truth, and certainty. And don't forget to let us know in the comments, where would you find certainty, in reason or beyond it? Picture this: Baghdad, 1095. A man stands at the pinnacle of intellectual achievement. He's the rector of the Nizamiya University, the most prestigious academic institution in the Islamic world. Scholars respect his every word. His name is Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, and he has everything: fame, fortune, intellectual mastery. But inside, he's drowning. But one day a thought struck him like lightning. How do I know any of this is true? He looked around at the world. Christian children grew up to be Christians. Jewish children became Jews. Muslim children followed Islam. Everyone believed they had the truth, but they couldn't all be right. So how could he trust his own beliefs? This wasn't just an intellectual exercise for Al-Ghazali. It was a full-blown crisis. He questioned everything: his senses, his reasoning, even the basic laws of mathematics. After all, he thought, what if there's another state of being, higher than waking life, where everything we think is true turns out to be a delusion? Just as dreams feel real while we're asleep, only to be revealed as illusions when we wake up, maybe our waking life is itself a kind of dream. The doubt consumed him. It paralyzed him. For months he couldn't teach. He couldn't speak. His health deteriorated. Finally, in 1095, at the age of 36, he did something unthinkable. He walked away. He abandoned his prestigious position, left Baghdad, and wandered for 10 years, to Syria, to Egypt, to Mecca, searching for an answer that his intellect couldn't provide. Now, fast forward 500 years. France, 1637. Another brilliant mind sits by a fireplace, wrapped in a winter robe. His name is René Descartes, and he too is about to embark on a journey into doubt. But unlike Al-Ghazali, Descartes isn't experiencing a mental breakdown. He's conducting an experiment. Descartes had a goal: to build a philosophy as certain as mathematics. But to do that, he needed to clear away all uncertain beliefs, like an architect demolishing an old building before constructing a new one. So he set himself a task: doubt everything. Doubt his senses. After all, they sometimes deceive. Doubt the external world. Maybe he's dreaming right now. Doubt even mathematics. What if an evil demon is deceiving him into thinking 2 + 2 = 4? But here's the key difference. Descartes wasn't genuinely terrified. He knew this was a method, a tool. He was in control. Al-Ghazali, on the other hand, wasn't playing a game. His doubt was real, existential, and devastating. Both men used strikingly similar arguments. Both doubted their senses. Both used the dream argument. But they used these tools in completely different ways. Al-Ghazali doubted sense perception because the senses sometimes lie. A stick looks bent in water, but is actually straight. The stars look small, but are massive. If the senses can deceive us even once, how can we trust them at all? Fair enough. Descartes made the exact same argument. Then came the dream doubt. Al-Ghazali asked, when you're dreaming, don't you believe your dreams are real? Only when you wake up do you realize they were illusions. But here's the terrifying part. What if there's another level of consciousness above waking life? What if, from that higher state, you'd look back at your current awake life and realize it was all a dream? Descartes asked a similar question. How do I know I'm not dreaming right now? Maybe this fireplace, this piece of wax in my hand, my entire body, maybe none of it exists. Maybe it's all a dream. But here's where they diverge. Descartes used the dream doubt to question the external world and his senses. Al-Ghazali went much deeper. He used the dream doubt to question reason itself. If my waking mind can be fooled into thinking dreams are real, then how can I trust my mind to distinguish truth from falsehood at all? For Al-Ghazali, the dream argument wasn't just about doubting what you see, it was about doubting your very ability to think clearly. Descartes pushed even further with his evil demon hypothesis. What if a deceiving power is tricking him about everything, even mathematics? But this was a thought experiment, a method to find absolute certainty. Al-Ghazali didn't need hypothetical demons. His doubt was already overwhelming and real. So how did they escape the darkness of doubt? Descartes found his answer through reason. In the midst of doubting everything, he stumbled upon one unshakable truth. I think, therefore I am. Even if an evil demon is deceiving him, even if he's dreaming, even if everything is an illusion, he must exist in order to be deceived. The very act of doubting proves that he exists as a thinking thing. This became the foundation of his entire philosophy. From this single certainty, he rebuilt his knowledge using the light of reason. But Al-Ghazali couldn't find his way out through reason. For months he was trapped. He describes this state as one where he had knowledge in theory, but not in his heart. He knew the arguments, he understood the logic, but he had no inner conviction. Reason had failed him. Then, after 10 years of wandering, prayer, and spiritual discipline, something happened. Al-Ghazali describes it as a divine light that God cast into his heart. Not an argument, not a logical proof, a direct, overwhelming experience of certainty that came from beyond reason. He found truth not through thinking, but through what the Sufis call spiritual unveiling, a direct encounter with reality that bypasses the intellect entirely. This is the great divide. Descartes emerged from doubt saying, reason is the path to certainty. Al-Ghazali emerged saying, reason has limits. True certainty comes from divine illumination. So who was right? Descartes became the father of modern philosophy. His Cogito, I think, therefore I am, became the foundation of rationalism and the scientific method. Western philosophy followed his lead, placing reason at the center of knowledge. To this day, when we seek truth, we look to logic, evidence, and rational argument. Descartes gave us the tools to build the modern world. But Al-Ghazali's influence was just as profound. He didn't just shape Islamic theology, he transformed it. For Al-Ghazali, Islamic philosophy was dominated by rationalists who believed reason could unlock all truths. Al-Ghazali challenged this. In his masterwork, The Incoherence of the Philosophers, he systematically dismantled the claims of philosophers like Avicenna, showing where pure reason falls short. He argued that while reason is valuable for worldly matters and religious law, it cannot grasp the deepest spiritual realities. His impact was seismic. Al-Ghazali became the bridge between formal Islamic scholarship and Sufism, showing that mystical experience and rational thought could coexist. For centuries after him, Islamic thinkers operated within the framework he established. Reason is a tool, but not the ultimate source of truth. Faith and spiritual experience complete what reason begins. His work shaped the Asherite school of theology, which emphasizes God's absolute power over creation, and his ideas resonated throughout the Muslim world, from North Africa to Southeast Asia. Even in the West, Al-Ghazali's influence rippled forward. Medieval Christian philosophers like Thomas Aquinas read his works in Latin translation and grappled with his arguments about the limits of reason and the role of divine will. Some scholars even suggest that Descartes himself may have encountered Al-Ghazali's ideas, though the historical evidence remains debated. Here's the fascinating irony. Both men were incredibly rational. Al-Ghazali was a master logician and philosopher. Descartes was a devout Christian who believed in God. The difference wasn't that one rejected reason and the other rejected faith. The difference was where they placed their ultimate trust. For Descartes, reason was self-sufficient. It could lead you to certainty on its own. For Al-Ghazali, reason was a servant, not a master. It could guide you, but it couldn't deliver the final answer. That required something more, something beyond the mind. 500 years separated them. Different religions, different cultures, different eras. But Al-Ghazali and Descartes asked the same question: how can I be certain of anything? And they gave us two profoundly different answers. Descartes said, trust your mind, doubt everything, but know that in the act of doubting, you discover your own existence. Build from there using reason. Al-Ghazali said, your mind can only take you so far. When reason reaches its limit, open your heart. Certainty comes not from thinking, but from experiencing the divine light. In our modern world, we live in Descartes' shadow. We valorize science, logic, evidence. We trust reason to solve our problems. And that's not wrong. Reason has given us incredible achievements. But maybe Al-Ghazali has something to teach us too. Maybe there are limits to what reason can do. Maybe there are truths that can't be captured in arguments and proofs. Maybe sometimes certainty requires a leap beyond logic. So here's my question for you. If you were plunged into radical doubt, where would you turn? Would you trust reason to pull you out like Descartes? Or would you seek something beyond reason like Al-Ghazali? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into two of history's greatest minds, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There's so much more philosophy to explore together, and I don't want you to miss it. See you in the next one.